How do airports actually generate revenue? Airports worldwide have been expanding their operations and displaying healthier financial reports in the last 15 years, according to Airport Council International. They make more money through various sources, but you'd be surprised to hear the percentage of income derived from non-aeronautical operations. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm doing fantastic today. I hope you are doing marvelous. And if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka. Let's go. I want to quickly give a shout out to a few folks before we get into the nitty-gritty. I acknowledge Jamie Flores in Huntsville, Alabama, Ashton Underwood in Mobile, Alabama, and Charlie's Wynn in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now, when it comes to airports generating money, we have three categories. You have non-aeronautical expenses or revenue, rather. You have aeronautical revenue, and then you have what they call other. So non-aeronautical expenses account for 55%, according to ACI, Airports Council International, which is a global trade representative of the world's airport authorities. Now, retail concessions account for 30% of non-aeronautical revenue. So two major factors work in airports' favor when it comes to generating income from retail and concessional sales. You have airline passengers typically have more spending power. So basically they can spend more, right? So as of 2019, passengers had a median household income of $85,000 to $100,000 compared to a national median of a little more than $60,000. So if you think about it, those people who are traveling have more money, so they're able to spend more at the restaurants, at the shops that are inside airports. All right. The second thing here is that after 9/11, you have increased security measures, right? So that really has compelled passengers to spend more time in airport terminals. So they have to arrive early to ensure they clear security in time to make their flights. So think about it. So you have folks who have to be at the airport at least 2 hours before departure, and those folks have a lot of money. So if you spend 2 hours somewhere without your flight, chances are you're going to spend. All right, you're going to spend. Now, the thing here is that there is an increasing trend that we've seen in the world is that airports are featuring more food and beverage options, right? So what they do is they expand their offerings beyond the national franchises that we had before. So before, airport terminals featured, the McDonald's, the burgers, and all those franchises. Right now, what they're doing is they are including local restaurants and vendors. All right, so that's pretty great. Now, when it comes to airport retail, they are now, switching from, or they are evolving rather from, magazines, chocolate bars to designer clothing. Again, we're talking about premium items here. They also feature more locally produced food, right? More locally produced goods, rather. So what they're doing here is that they, airports worldwide, especially the big countries, in the developed countries, they're trying to transform the airport terminal into what people call a travel mega store. So you have an entire shopping malls in airports. All right. So, and again, because you have smartphones, mobile technology, apps, basically customers can actually even have a bespoke experience through something called geo-specific targeting. All right, so that's very important. Now you have to understand that. So airlines are making money also from airport retail sales, right? They're getting a cut out of it. All right. You also have something that is really helping also boost their revenue in retail concessions. Again, retail concessions stands at 30% of non-aeronautical revenue. You also have ATM machines that are within airports. All right. So you have that. You also have now, besides ATM machines, you have something called vending machines that are selling stuff, everything from skin lotions to shoes. The reason being that, and they even sell some personal electronics The reason is that those quote unquote upscale vending machines help airports generate income in locations that will be too small for regular stores, right? And it's just wonderful. So rather than just having an entire company on a store risk opening in a small airport, they're just putting like a machine there, a vending machine there. All right. So retail concession 30%, car parking 20%. So car parking generate 20% revenue in non-aeronautical revenue. Airports also make money when it comes to property and real estate. So, and that part accounts for 15% of airports revenue. By property and real estate, I'm talking about commercial development, right? So you have office buildings, business and industrial parks, you have hotels, retail centers, logistics hubs. You also have rail and transportation infrastructures. You have, all of these things are potential commercial projects on airport property, right? That can boost non-aeronautical revenue streams. Okay, and others. The others category accounts for 35%. So we in non-aeronautical revenue we have retail concession 30%, car parking 20%, property and real estate 15%, and others accounting for 35%. Now, what are others? Others accounts for. Others comprise things like car rentals. So you get, when you the next time you rent a car, you will see a fee. There is a portion of the price you pay that goes to the airport, and they call it airport fee, right? So that's what I mean by car rentals. You get food and beverage, the same thing. There is a part of it that goes to the airport. That's why some people would rather rent a car, not in an airport, but in the neighborhood to avoid that fee. Airports make money through advertising, right? So they sell advertising space inside and outside terminals. All right. And they also have things like special events, branded area, sponsored places. Sometimes you go into an airport and inside the terminal you see a new car, or a car that hasn't been launched yet. And that's just, and that they make money through that. They also make money through parking and ground transportation. They actually charge a fee. So let's say if you park in a parking lot owned by the airport, that's direct revenue. But if you take a cab or you take any kind of limo, whatever, they charge you a fee. So there's a ground transportation fee levied by the airport. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still having a conversation about how airports actually generate revenue. In the first section, I spoke about non-aeronautical revenue, and those are 55% of revenue. Now we have aeronautical revenue accounting for 40%. Now, aeronautical revenue relates to the aircraft operation itself. All right. Before I just elaborate here, please allow me to acknowledge Marley Vaughn in Orlando, Florida, Kylie Norris in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Michaela Merrill in Jacksonville, Florida. If you also want us to give you a shout out in our next shows, please consider subscribing to our channel. And if you like the content and the clarity of the content, consider subscribing to our channel, turn on the notification bell, and like, share, and comment below. So aeronautical revenue. So they make money by charging aircraft. So aircraft charges 20%. What I mean by that is you have landing, parking. So when airline companies land an aircraft, so landing, parking, navigate, so navigational aid, boarding bridges, noise and environmental fee, and other. Now, when it comes to that, you have something called airfield charges. Now, when it comes to airfield charges, there are two types. You have aircraft landing fees. So you have something called signatory landing fee and non-signatory landing fee. You also have general aviation landing fee. So usually they charge you based on the nature of the trip and the nature of the aircraft. right? So sometimes you might hear something called minimum landing fees and air carrier incentive program. Now, so you have aircraft landing fee, and the second element in airfield charges is something called outdoor aircraft parking fees. So you have airport support area charges, right? So when you have cargo facilities rental rates, you have the terminal area charges. So some airlines like to have an exclusive use space, right? So if you travel with Emirates, for instance, they might have their own Emirates exclusive lounge or that kind of stuff, right? So they use it for VIP clubs, baggage claim lobbies, lounges, kiosks, whatever it is. So the airport is making money from the airline from that. So when it comes to terminal area charges, you have exclusive use space, but you can also have joint use space, right? So you have airline share space leased to more than one scheduled airline. So they pay rent according to a joint use formula. All right. So this is very, very important when it comes to that. And you also have the security charges that are related to the terminal area charges. All right. I'll be right back right after this on Gordia. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still having a conversation today around how airports actually make money. And I want to acknowledge again some of our viewers and listeners: Ash Ayers in Shreveport, Louisiana, Diana Price in Lafayette, Louisiana, and Gabriel Carpenter in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Now, so folks, I've given you, in the first section, I told you that non-aeronautical revenue accounted for 55% of airline revenue. In the second section, I said to you that 40% of airline revenue came from aeronautical operations. In other words, things that have to deal with the aircraft itself. Now, there is a third section called non-operating, and those actually are as follows. So non-operating account for 5%. In non-operating revenue, we have things like utility charges. So electricity. So the airport buys power from a utility company and resells it to airport tenants, right? And it does so at rates that are competitive. And basically, of course, they make money. Also, the airport makes money by adding a little bit of, a little markup on that. You also have water, same thing. So the airport will charge airport tenants for water delivered. You have wastewater treatment. So the airport will charge airport tenants for wastewater. That's sewage treatment. You also have garbage collection. So, there is a fee for use of airport trash compactors for airline tenants, and those are assessed on a monthly basis. And you also have aviation support service providers who will handle trash for multiple airlines. And what happens is that the airport will consolidate all those fees and pass them on to the airlines. There's something called tri-tourator fee. So the use of the airport tri-tourators requires issuance of a use permit, right? And this also accounts for airport revenue rather. You will have something called airport communications infrastructure charge. You have infrastructure connectivity and cable television, CATV, transport charges, shared tenant services, and airport data and video services. Another way an airport makes money when it comes to the non-operating category is the ground side area charges. I'm talking vehicle parking rates for the public, vehicle parking rates for employees of terminal tenants. You have ground transportation vehicle access charges. This is different from the fee. You have something like commercial ground transportation operators, and another way that the airline makes money is by charging a service fee on delinquent payment. So the rate is very competitive. It depends on what the market is charging. It can go from 1.5% per month to 5% per month, and this is assessed on any payment not received from an airport tenant by the due date. And here I'm talking about airline, retail concession, food and beverage concession, and so on and so forth. So basically what you can see here is that an airline actually makes money from a variety of sources, with the most important being non-aeronautical services. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are about to wrap up today's show, and for those who just joined us, please consider subscribing to our channel, or if you've been listening to us for a while and you appreciate the content and clarity of the material in today's show, consider subscribing to our channel. We release new shows every single day, rain or shine. And if you want to have your name acknowledged on air, comment below, share, like, subscribe, and we really appreciate that. So today's show, really, the context of today's show was about the fact that airports worldwide have been expanding their operations and displaying healthier financial reports in the last 15 years, according to Airports Council International. They make money through various sources, but you would be surprised to hear the percentage of income derived from non-aeronautical operations. I've already said it, that percentage is 55%. 55%, so more than half of the money that airports make come from non-aircraft related operations. That's a lot. That's huge, and this percentage has been going up. All right, so here's a recap. So we talked about non-aeronautical non-aeronautical revenue items, 55%, aeronautical 40%, and non-operating 5%. Now, there is something that is really good to know, because we talked about airports making money. It's good to know that according to World Airport Codes, an online resource on civilian air transportation, the top 10 airports in the world were, as of December 31st, 2018, number one, drum roll, number one, the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, right? They have about more than 100 million passengers every single year. Second, you have Beijing Capital International Airport. Third, Los Angeles International Airport. Number 4, Tokyo Haneda Airport. Number 5, Dubai International Airport. Number 6, O'Hare International Airport. London Heathrow is number 7. Shanghai Pudong International Airport is number 8. Hong Kong International Airport is number 9. And the Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport in France is number 10. So you can see that in the top 10, China has placed 3 airports: Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. And this is pretty interesting. America also has 3: Hartsfield in Atlanta, Los Angeles, and O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. So this kind of gives you an idea of who the biggest players are. One thing you have to understand is that in the United States, compared to other countries, especially in Europe, airports are usually owned by state authorities. They're not privatized. In Europe, a lot of airports are in private hands, but in the States, we're not there yet. So, most airports, the vast majority of airports in the States are state-owned or government-owned. All right? Thanks for listening. I will see you next time, and until then, stay marvelous.